Okay, I'd like to call this February 6th Park Board meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Marquardt?
Here.
Mrs. Brannon?
Yes.
Mr. Justice?
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Here.
Mrs. Dixon?
Here.
Mrs. Rivera?
Here.
Mr. Bunge is not absent. Mr. Austin? Absent. Mrs. Ray?
Present.
Mr. Wiseman?
Here.
And I am here.
Okay, consent agenda. So we have the minutes from the January meeting. We have claims. Parks and Rec General Fund, $23,980.61. Park Impact Fee, $0. Parks and Rec Non-Reverting Fund, $447.25. Clubhouse Non-Reverting Fund, $6,617.31. Total expenditures of $31,045.17. Donations, Fraternal Order of the Eagles donated $1,700 to the Kiwanis Dog Park for improvements and amenities. Boy Scout Troop 129, care of Braden Denclow, donated $102.57. So thank you for the donations. Any discussion on the consent agenda?
I had a question about the $7,200 for the rec desk. Is this a contract? And
It's
what
our
year?
It's an annual subscription, renewal subscription to have our software. So we'll see that annually, but it's not a contract.
It's not a contract?
No,
Okay.
it's just our software that we renew annually.
Thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Motion by Mr. Marquardt,
I'll second the motion.
second by Mr. Justice. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Marquardt?
Yes.
Mrs. Brannon?
Yes.
Mr. Justice?
Yes.
And Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, motion carries 4-0. Old business, park maintenance shop was deferred to the March meeting per the January meeting minutes, so we're not going to take any action on this tonight. Number 2 of old business was the Park Foundation. And Mr. Austin's not here tonight, so I was hoping to get a little more direction from him. I think some of the Park Foundation members are here, so if this is an opportunity where you want to come and speak about anything or ask some questions that we can take to Mr. Austin, I'd invite you to come up and the floor is yours.
Okay, well, I wrote out a January report of what we accomplished so far in January.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll share. Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello. Yeah.
His is already deferred.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
Okay, for our election of officers, Cheryl Parker is the president, Kathy Broomhead is secretary, and I'm the treasurer. So we had our election of officers, we reviewed our bylaws, we added Master Gardener Pam Howard to the foundation, and added native plant consultant Angie Michaelachuk to the foundation. We had a discussion of fundraisers, and we did a walkthrough Potawatomi Park, and we discussed the improvement possibilities, and we're working on a Master Gardener's grant.
Thanks for the updates. I think the one open question that we had for Mr. Austin was the number of members. and I think the bylaws say 5.
And we have 5.
Oh, you did, okay, so you added, okay, all right.
Will that take place in a council,
Does that need to be recommended to town council to accept
to have
those?
those members?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should recommend those new members that are wanting on to
Okay,
council, so council can put them
so
on
here's
the
what
board.
I would suggest then, do you still have the application that was filled out, or can we get them the
It's still
application?
online, it's on our website.
Okay.
And we also
Just-
have Jeannie Beal here,
Okay,
so we have 6 members now,
okay.
but that's in my February report.
Okay, so what I would suggest is that, if you could have the new members fill out that application,
Okay,
just to get their information and everything,
sure.
turn it into probably Mindy, and then we'll recommend those, once we get the applications, then we'll have to recommend town council,
Okay,
for them to officially accept it.
okay,
And then I think, I'm not a lawyer, and I didn't write the bylaws, but I think once town council, accepts the members, then the Park Foundation, as a foundation, can then amend bylaws. You can amend the bylaws
okay, 'cause Dave.
on your own.
Dave said 3.
I think he
And
was,
to set up the
yeah.
account and everything, so.
Okay.
We should be good by 3,
mhm,
and I believe he said we did not have to go through council to add anyone else.
okay,
So,
Okay.
we are going to the bank tomorrow to open up.
okay, all right. Well, I'll defer to Dave, Mr. Austin's, legal opinion on that, so.
Okay,
But yeah, if you could just have them fill out that information, at least just so we have,
okay.
we have their information, that would be good.
Any more questions?
I don't think so, unless you have any questions from us.
I just wanted to add, I did talk to Mr. Austin at the meeting last night, and he did give me we are required to take to the bank, the tax ID number that's assigned when you get registered with the IRS. So he gave me the NP 20A form, and it's got all the information on here, so we're good on that.
Perfect. Well, it looks like you guys are 2 steps ahead of where I thought we were, so that's good.
And we can amend the bylaws
Yeah, okay,
on
yep,
our own.
yep. Now you can amend the bylaws, 'cause I know there's some goofy things in there that had like, the town manager was the liaison from the town to the, Park Foundation, so if you want to amend that to make it someone that's closer to the Parks Department, or
Well,
whether,
I think that may have been the case, because if you recall, the park board was disbanded and dumped, and
Mhm.
the town council was running the parks.
mhm,
It was not even a park department, it
Mhm.
was just a committee.
yeah,
So that would make sense, that the town manager would have to be the liaison, because there was nobody.
yeah. And so now you'll have the ability to amend that and choose whoever you want to be a liaison, so, okay.
Is there a term on the Park Foundation members? I don't know that.
Yeah, 3 years.
It is 3
It's
years,
in the
okay.
bylaws,
Yep,
Good.
I
I
did
did
read
not see
them.
that. Good.
And I think as they're incorporating, we should talk about the opportunity to have a work session with the foundation, so we all could be on
Yeah.
the same page of, incentives and projects, and just have a good work session
That's
on the
kind of
books.
what we were we're supposed to be working in conjunction with the Parks Board
Yeah.
and department, so that would make sense.
Mhm.
We would need to see what you guys have in store,
Mhm.
and then we can coordinate with what we need to get foundation, funding.
yeah, absolutely.
May
So,
I?
yeah, go
I
ahead.
know that we're not gonna be getting together for context about the master plan, but I thought if these people could at least see the draft plan, they have ideas, that might, they might be able to see something there that, whether or not it gets funded through context, or, maybe they might have ideas with it too. So I wanted them to see those,
Mhm.
the draft for,
If it's the pleasure of the board to share the conceptual drafts, even though they will be edited to quite a bit before they get off to the public meeting,
right.
sure. I mean, I can't make that decision, but that would be a board decision for sure.
So,
If that would be good partner.
yeah, so the public meeting's March 16th, and that's when we're gonna have like a final, but that's when it's gonna be, the public will have the final say to possibly edit.
So March 13th.
And March 1st is
March
the
13th.
deadline for
Okay.
this first grant that they are applying for.
Yeah, the Master Gardener's Grant. Mhm.
Mm,
That's
okay,
why I'd like for them to see it, before
yeah.
Just knowing that it's nothing official and it's just some ideas,
Right.
I don't see the harm in
So, yeah, so
that.
I think if this makes sense, share the draft with Park Foundation.
Okay.
We're gonna have the public meeting, it's March 16th, correct?
I think it's the 13th.
Is it maybe I'm getting my dates mixed up.
Yeah, I think it's
Thursday.
Thursday.
Okay,
Is it the
so
13th?
Thursday the 13th is gonna be the public meeting, and Context Design's gonna be here, or maybe remotely, whatever. That'll be the last public meeting for the master plan. Then I think from that point, we can schedule a work session after we have the final public meeting. Then we'll schedule the work session with Park Board and, Park Foundation, which would be that's a public meeting.
So Context will, like before when they did the presentation, they'll have the information that the public can see as far as the master plan ideas and such.
Yeah,
Yeah, that meeting is, public notification will be going out, but we have kind of a save the date. And that will be March 13th at 6:30 PM at the clubhouse facility. It will be open house kind of style with the boards, some drafts of the master plan. It will be public engagement opportunity for the public to review those plans and make any last additional wants or asks of this, of the master plan. Then it will go downstate for final approval from the Indiana Department of Natural Resources, and it has to be there by April 15th. And then once we get that back, it gets to come before the Park Board for recommendation for adoption to the Town Council. So
Okay.
then we'll have an official master plan, so right around the corner.
so does that sound like a plan for you guys?
Yeah.
We'll have the public meeting, and then we'll schedule
So
a,
we would just view the plan prior to March 13th?
you'll have the draft, just the draft that's out there right now.
Okay.
and then-
when would we get that?
So well, we're talking about two different things, I think.
Oh, okay.
The master plan itself is in draft form.
Mhm.
That's what's going before us in our public meeting on
Mhm.
March 13th, to just review the draft of the master plan. We don't even have it in its full completion in our hands yet. Segments of it we do. The conceptual plans, which is what Gail is asking that are
Mhm.
shared, is we have picked 4 conceptual sites or 4 park spaces as conceptual sites that we could, in addition to the master plan. And so those conceptual plans is what we're asking for at this time, even though they're in draft form. Those I can get to you via email tomorrow. I can send off to, I think I have at least the 3 elected officers' email addresses at this time. So I will send that. I'll have hard copies at the office as well. And then I would encourage you to come to that 13th meeting as well for any insight, maybe even on those conceptual plans, but it's a chance to talk with the engineering firm, just like we did when we were planning
Yeah, that was
stages.
good. I didn't realize it was gonna be at the monastery.
Yeah, we need a little bit bigger space because they have the big easels and such, so it will be, nothing like a formal meeting.
Can it be posted like on the public meetings, on the town website or Facebook or something?
So Sharon just received the marketing for it today, and then she'll be putting public notice out, and then it will be on our park website, town website, and on our social media.
I think we just solidified that date today.
Yeah, we just got solid
yeah.
today.
I think we just figured out that date, so.
And there's flyers up there about it too.
Yeah, I was just hoping to look at the conceptual, and I think you guys were too.
Mhm.
Not to zero in on specific project at this point, because it isn't final, but just maybe there's one that we know is going to be pretty much a definite priority, and maybe, we can.
You guys need a mission to work toward too,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, all right, so once we get to that public session, then we'll iron out a work session. My other question would be, do you want to have like a Park Foundation report as part of our meeting agenda each month?
That would be good.
Because, right, we have like superintendent's report, rec report, maintenance, town council, we can add Park Foundation report.
Sure.
Okay.
We have things to report.
Yeah, well,
Looks like it.
like I said, you're 2 steps ahead of where I thought, so that's good. Okay.
Also, can we have a good map of all the parks in Cedar Lake? Because the one online, I don't care for it. It
Mhm.
doesn't seem so.
There's one included in this conceptual draft that I'll be sending to you, so,
Okay.
Is there one in printed form that's bigger? She's old school.
No, I like my hands-on paper too. I mean, I have some site plans, but they're like, they're digital, so I have access to some site plans. So, maybe when the engineering firm starts printing off the stuff for our, we'll retain a copy that's a little bit bigger.
That's fine.
Yeah, so maybe we'll snag one from our master, or our public meeting.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah.
Mindy, Tim Holsey has his hand raised.
Oh, he might have,
He might have one.
you guys want to answer, Tim?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
You
Yeah,
might hear
yeah.
you.
Hi, so if there's some sort of map that you'd like created, feel free, to swing by my office and I can make a map that suits whatever you need.
Okay.
I work in the police department and you can get my contact info from Mindy, and I'd be more than happy to help.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thanks, Tim. I'll work with you on that, getting them something a little nicer to look at.
Okay. Mindy, I just have a different question, not regarding this. So, with the maintenance shop grant, the matching grant, who applies for that? Do you do it, or does the Park Foundation, or
We would-
me, or who does it?
So that would be as of the Parks Department, going for any kind of grant of that nature. And that would be more like the, having a grant writer write the grant for that. It's a pretty substantial grant.
So you would get, okay,
We would hire a consultant.
We have to consult with a grant writer,
perfect.
yeah, for that type of stuff, but. Okay. All right, so I would solicit a motion then on this item the only thing I would solicit a motion for then is to add, Park Foundation as a Park Foundation report to our monthly agenda.
I'll motion that we add the Park Foundation report to our monthly agenda.
Second that.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Justice, a second by Ms. Brannon. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Markwart,
Yes.
Mrs. Brannon,
Yes.
Mr. Justice,
Yes.
and Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes, motion carries 4-0. Founder's Creek Trail, I don't think we have there's no updates on this. So, I hate,
Last
There's a
question.
meeting coming up with NERC. Will anybody be attending it?
Jen is our, Jennifer Sandberg is our, what do they call it? The certified, something, officer
For this trail also?
Yeah, for any NERC projects. So, and she did say that they would be meeting here soon to talk about
Okay.
next quarter projects. So I'll be
Okay.
waiting for an update from,
yeah, so if you get
From Jennifer.
I want to leave it on we'll leave it on the agenda for now.
I believe that's good faith,
Yeah.
yeah.
And hopefully she can provide us an update that you can report to us. Okay, so I would solicit a motion to defer Founder's Creek Trail to the March meeting.
I'll make a motion.
I'll make a motion to move the Founder's Trail to the March meeting.
Okay, so I think I had a first from Ms. Brannon, a second by Mr. Marquardt. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Markwart,
Yes.
Mrs. Brannon,
Yes.
Mr. Justice,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes, motion carries 4-0. Number 4, Agents of Discovery, and I think Greg has some additional information from the last meeting.
Yeah, so I emailed you about the information. So you guys have any questions about it as of right now, or? Because I emailed you the information. I believe
Yeah.
you all responded back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's just really, are we interested in doing it?
Mhm.
I went online and I tried it and played one of the games that they had for, I guess, general public
Yeah.
could go on there. And it could be very interesting, you know, to see how it could fit into the parks. Other parks are using it, and I think it's a good idea to try it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not the 3-year, though.
No, we would just do it 1 year just to try it out, just to see
Yeah.
how it goes. And then if we like it, then we can think about another 3, but you could also do it 1 year again, just it's whatever we would want to do with it. Yep.
What will you be giving to the winners? Is there a actual prize, or?
Yeah, absolutely. We would probably, I mean, it depends on the game, right? So, you could give out like ribbons, because I know or like a medal, or you can even do like small little gift cards, or like depending on what it is. Like let's say you do an Easter one, you know, candy at the end, right? Big chocolate bar. Like who wouldn't like that stuff, right?
Yeah,
So stuff like that.
I think they'll be interested if there's something.
There would be, absolutely, yes.
You'll
Yeah.
get more participation, that's for sure.
I totally agree with you, yeah, there would be something, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's a huge investment to kind of draw that different age crowd, to, you know, to
I think so,
the
yeah,
programming.
absolutely. And then the more families you can bring, then also like, depending on where they go, like you could even try to like, even put flyers around, because you know where parks are going, and these are other things that we can do at the Cedar Lake Parks, right? And just try to draw people in, draw families in. The more families you draw in, the more kids you draw in, the more teens you draw in. You know, the more we get recognized for it. Oh, this is what we can do here, right? And I think it's just all, it would just help out in general.
Can one game encompass more than one park? Or does it have to be in the same area, like,
Same area,
okay?
yeah.
You could do Potawatomi Park and
Correct.
Town Grounds. and-
Yeah, so it'd be in the same area, so you wouldn't go to different parks. But I mean, if a park's close to one, it possibly, right? It would just be in like a general area, right? Mm-hmm.
But we would have the ability, my understanding is, just for clarification purposes, that we don't have to always host it in the same park. There would be
Correct.
one at this park, and then the
Yeah.
next game we launch would be at this park, and
Yes.
it's a way to kind of highlight park spaces and.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
communal
Does not have to be
gatherings.
the same one, no.
Was there a limit on the number? Is it 8?
8, yeah.
Okay,
So there's
8.
there's one mission and 8 challenges,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, then, just one question, which, you know, I just gotta throw it out there. So, if people don't have the equipment to play the game,
Mm-hmm.
which some people don't have cell phones, kids and things like that, is there anything we could supply them?
So you can get it off a tablet, an iPad, or a phone. Any one of those will work, yeah.
I'm just saying that there's some people.
Yeah, because some people, yeah, no, I totally agree, like, so a cell phone, an iPhone, and then there are tablets, right? Yeah, so I mean, most of the time nowadays, they have at least one of the three, yeah. And then like for a tablet and an iPad, like my children use hotspot, right? The hotspot to their parents' cellular device. So I mean, or sometimes I've seen nowadays where parents actually like bring their own Wi-Fi out there, bless you. So I've also seen that. So I mean, nowadays technology is so advanced that, yeah, most of the times.
I just don't wanna see anybody get excluded, you know, because.
Yeah, absolutely not, no.
Is there some way we could seek, we could talk with the IT department about seeking the donations of older used but still usable, have those in the office, that would be able to, you know, the Wi-Fi would be probably the situation,
Mhm.
but maybe we could do it on loan for those who didn't have the opportunity to have. I
Yeah.
remember one of us has an old cell phone sitting at home that if we would, you know.
Yeah, I can get with Tim and Cliff and ask, yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
maybe we can just get a device is just donated for
Yep.
the purpose of loan and create an opportunity for those who do not have that to have access to it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm imagining most people do have it, but there might be the one or two that just don't have it, you know, and, I don't know, okay. I'm not throwing a wrench in the game, you know, I just.
No, we're trying to
Yeah.
create it all for, you know, think about all the things when we try to bring something new. That's a good idea.
Point well taken.
All right, so I would solicit a motion to move forward with a one-year subscription to Agents of Discovery.
I motion that we move ahead with a 1-year subscription to Agents of Discovery.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Mr. Justice, second by Mr. Markwart. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Markwart?
Yes.
Mrs. Brandon?
Yes.
Mr. Justice?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, motion carries 4-0. Item number 1 under new business, IPRA membership.
Yes, I wanted to bring that up, and it includes, well, I guess Mindy's already applied for it, or renewed it,
Yeah.
thank you.
Uh-huh.
And it included one board member, and I thought I would mention it to you, that you might be interested. They put out a monthly newsletter. They also have a monthly Zoom meeting for local parks to be able to gather ideas and stuff. And just put it out there that if you want to explain about the Zoom meetings, what kind of things you talk about and stuff.
Yeah, I just sat in on, they're called the virtual town hall, and I want to say there was over 30 park professionals, in every, degree of park professional, within this Zoom. And topics are, anything from community gardens to what's the problems that you're having there, in your parks right now. And where it's just a resource for each other. So the topics are usually, when you sign up for it, you could say these are some things that are happening in my park system that if we could discuss. And it was quite a lengthy virtual meeting to attend, but yeah, and you guys can do that no matter what, because we have a membership. So it's not like we have to add each additional board member to our membership.
Then they wouldn't get the monthly newsletter.
You can sign up for those regardless, throughout memberships. But we did purchase one and we can add on to it. So if the board wants to pay an extra $53 for each board member to actually have a physical membership, but I don't believe that it's necessary because you do have access to those items no matter what. And if 2 of you wanted to go to conference next year, it would still be under our normal membership. So I don't know if you want to have a physical membership or not, but there's still time to add to it if needed. But all the memberships offered are 1 board member per so many staff. So there's nothing more than 1, but we can a la carte additionals on. So just any direction that you would give me to go ahead and add each member, I could do so. But I believe that the benefits that Gail is speaking of are just open because we are an agency of the IPRA.
Is that newsletter accessible online?
Absolutely. Yeah, actually in one of my emails I linked you to it, just to go in and say I'd like to receive the newsletter. So, yeah.
Okay.
To pinpoint an item, do they discuss things like event dates? I mean, are we talking about St. John and Lowell and Crown Point?
It depends on which professionals are popping in from which communities, but more so I think they're just topics of, the woes of departments and where we're going, like splash pads came up in our conversation, but it's really not for each professional to get on and say, this is what my department is doing on these dates.
Yeah, we just hate to see us start do an event, maybe in the summer or something, I think we had mentioned something like Christmas in July or something, and have that conflict with a different neighboring town on their event.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, is that something that you...
We do our due diligence in trying to, we're hopping on our local community sites and the town planner, making sure that, the best, but each community is going to do as they need, and there's going to be, even with Taylor Ice Fest this year, we sent our notice out in the December before, so the saved dates, and we still had several communities having events on those same dates, so,
And that's unfortunate.
But
It
to Greg's point, I mean, whether we coordinate it or something, but it would be cool to do like a round table of parks directors from neighboring communities, Lake County, and just do a round table.
Well, we
Just,
already are meeting in that way.
Okay.
Yeah, we are, it's a partnership meeting, and it's the Northern Lake,
Oh, okay, all
yeah,
right,
yeah,
so it's already
so
happening.
we're already meeting, yeah.
Great.
Okay.
A group calendar might be something nice for them to have, because really, the communities want to draw from each other as well. So if 2 parties are having the same thing, it seems like...
Absolutely. Yeah, we do our best to try to not do the same thing, but sometimes it's just this is when they have to do it and this is when we have to, and, we don't want to compete. That's not, usually parks are very open door with each other and try to help one another, and so it's not really a competition, it's just that's what worked best for their community. This is why we saw several things going on at the same time as that last winter event, so.
Okay. So Gail,
I'm fine with that, I just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, that's good, yeah.
Weren't aware of it,
Yeah.
that it is
No, I'd like to join
you
the
know.
next Zoom call
Yeah.
5 times. Okay. All right, so I don't think we need to take action on this item, but thanks for the discussion. Number 2, under new business, this is discussion of attorney meeting attendance, and I think this just kind of stems from, and correct me if I'm mistaken, but I think town council said that Attorney Austin doesn't necessarily need to attend every meeting, or maybe not all of the boards and commission meetings.
It works at your pleasure.
It's up to you guys.
Okay, so my thought was, and I don't know, he was not gonna be here, but we can coordinate with him outside, and I'll put it in front, up to the board. My recommendation would be that we would give him whatever notice he needs in the month, whether it's a week or 2 weeks, we give him that notice, he attends the next meeting. If he doesn't hear from us, or if we let him know in advance that he doesn't attend the meeting. Basically, because, he charges to be here, it's not free. And not that we don't want him here, but we don't necessarily need him at every meeting, but some meetings, if we know there's gonna be something on the agenda that needs a legal opinion, then we would notify him, whatever his.
And we generally know ahead of time.
Yeah, and I'm sure, I don't know what his schedule is, I'm sure he's flexible, that if we give him a 5-day notice or whatever it is, few business day notice, that he'd make his best effort to attend.
Would you like for me to reach out to him and just find out about how much notice
you
he
just
would
find out.
know,
Yeah.
needs to know, and just let him know that the decision
Yeah.
is to, as needed, and with
Yep.
as much notice as he is requesting
Yep,
moving forward.
that's
Okay.
all we would need to know from him at
Okay.
this point, so.
I can do that.
I kind of, can I get one in?
Mhm.
It's nice they have him here. It's his meeting a month, maybe an hour of his time, I don't know how much he charges us. But if we do ever just run into a question that we need, like, quickly in order for us to make a motion on something,
Mhm.
and we don't know the answer, it's nice to have the guy sitting there. We've asked him questions at almost every one of our meetings. So it's not, like I say, it's such a short period of time and so seldom that, I don't know, I would like
Yeah.
to retain him
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess I'm just taking this direction from, the lead of, town council, just kind of put that out, that maybe he doesn't need to be at every board and commission meeting, which I'm guessing is multiple times per week, that there's meetings. And, I personally think we're at a point where we could, navigate the agenda, and obviously, if it's something that we need an official legal opinion, it's gotta be, and at this point, I think we know it's gotta be in writing, in a written opinion from him that we get via email, from his office. So that would be my suggestion, but I do appreciate that, probably in our first couple of years, we were on the spot many times. I think we're at a point though where we can not necessarily, and maybe we do need him every single meeting, and that could be it, but if we're gonna have a light meeting, and he doesn't need to be here, not here today, so.
We do have some meetings where we push a lot of the things to the next month in the
Mhm.
agenda, so
Yeah.
that would be a great example.
Yeah.
And we know ahead of time usually what
Yeah,
those are.
yeah, if something comes up in that meeting, at least it would give us an opportunity to digest that information over the next month, to get an actual written opinion from him. And
I think Greg's right,
Yeah.
it's nice to have him here, but,
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I'll leave that motion up. The motion would be to either, request that he comes to every meeting, or that, he doesn't come to every meeting, and Mindy will find out what his, advance notice would be if we do need him at a meeting. I'll leave that up to the pleasure of the board.
Well, I'll make a motion that, we will see our agenda going forward, see if there's legal things on there that we think we're gonna need him for, and then we can let Mindy know, and she can reach out and ask him to be here. Or it can be pushed to the next meeting if legal questions come up.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so there's a motion by Ms. Brannon, a second by Mr. Justice. A roll call, please. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Markwart?
Yes.
Mrs. Brannon?
Yes.
Mr. Justice?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Oh, tentative there, Greg. Thinking about it.
You gotta make something interesting.
That's it.
Okay, 2025 park committees, I can give a little discussion, because I don't think the board is familiar with this topic. So basically, this stems from, you know, Mindy, the park superintendent, not Mindy, but the park superintendent in general has authority to do certain things, you know, as far as projects, roof colors on gazebo, you know, on the shelters, or placement of benches, or, you know, programming and events. I mean, the superintendent has authority to do those things without direct input from the Parks Board on every single matter. Mindy specifically would like that input from us because we are, you know, the board representing taxpayers. And those are kind of, you know, the roof color doesn't seem like a big deal, but, you know, it's the roof color that we're going to pick, and it's going to be on that shelter, or whatever the case is. So to help guide Mindy on some of those things, I'm proposing that we have 2 park committees, and the subcommittees, I guess you'd call them, of 2 members each. One would be focused on programs and events. The other would be focused on infrastructure and park space planning. So one would be more like, you know, infrastructure, park spaces, landscape projects, shelter type things. The other one would be programs, you know, kind of give input to Greg and Mindy on those, and events. So if we're going to do a trunk or treat, or a Easter event, or any other type of event, you have a little more input. Mindy would coordinate with those subcommittees on when she needs that input, and they can kind of discuss that input. If it comes to a point where an action needs to be taken, whether it's monetary or a bigger decision on planning, at least the subcommittee can kind of work through some of those details, and then we can discuss at the board and take that action, you know, see the proposal and take the action in the public meeting. I think this just helps guide the park superintendent on some of those smaller details, you know, and not necessarily have to get the whole board involved on every small matter, but then if something comes up, you know, they can help better identify when a bigger matter needs to be brought to the full board, and we can discuss it here and take action. So I would ask for your opinion on that, and on the 2 subcommittees that I discussed, and also where, you know, volunteer yourself on which subcommittee you think you'd be interested in.
I'd be interested in the park spaces.
Okay.
So would I.
Okay.
We definitely want the other one.
Programs and events
Oh, yeah.
would be me and Greg then. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
And so then, basically, you know, it's not going to be official. Mindy's just going to reach out to you guys for input on that. If it, you know, in your discussions, you decide, hey, there's going to be some money spent here, or there's, you know, this bench is a really big decision, we need to decide where all of us want it to be, then we'll bring it to the board, and you'll discuss, you know, you'll propose that to the board, and we'll all discuss it. I think it just helps, you know, with parks, there's just a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of little details that we want to have input in that we don't necessarily need to have input for, but Mindy wants us to have that input.
Definitely will expedite a lot.
Yeah, and it'll help Mindy do her job throughout the month where you know, she needs a decision on a color of a slide, or a color of this or that, you know.
Well, I hope it's not just all color choice.
No, I know, that's the first thing that's
We're
coming to
doing
my
big
mind.
things, like building shelters and
Yeah,
placing them
yeah.
in our parks. I really would
Yeah.
like to know the pleasure of the majority, so
Mhm.
those decisions are made. It's not just, what if I wanted a purple roof shelter, and I thought that was a great idea, and then we all have to look at it for 30 years.
So that's
I was gonna ask for some examples of, you know, so people kind of know what you're talking about when you're
Mhm.
talking about these decisions.
So, some examples would be, like, well, as we're still getting through the master planning, but we're talking about conceptual plans. The ability to sit down with, a planning committee, when it comes to infrastructure and future projects, to see what exactly that is you want to see in your conceptual plans. Not gathering as a board and having to do like a work session on it, but getting that, feedback from you. You know, it would also pertain to, like, program and events. What other programs and events would you like to see here? Work more closely with the department. let us know, this is where I believe you're doing well, or I suggest this. It's just an opportunity to have more rapport with the board and help guide us to do the things that you would need. It's not just color choices, I hope you understand, but, there's some big money projects coming around the future for us. That's building of a shop, a maintenance shop. It's proposing new playgrounds and spaces. These are big decisions that have high-ticket value to them that I believe it shouldn't just sit on, on me to make those decisions on behalf of you or the taxpayers. I would like to have that insight in that and, be able to bring those projects to light and programs and events to light on behalf of the board.
And then it would be the responsibility of that subcommittee with Mindy, if there is a big decision that needs to be made, to present that at the public, at the public board meeting.
Yeah.
Just so we don't have to call a work session every time there's a small item that needs to be, kind of figured out. So that's my big proposal for the year.
If we don't need to vote on anything, we already kind of hashed it out.
Yeah, well, I think we'll just vote, so I'll lay out exactly what the subcommittees are, and we'll just vote to approve that.
Okay.
And that's
Sounds
it.
good.
So I would solicit a motion to, and whoever makes the motion doesn't have to repeat everything I'm gonna say. I would solicit a motion to create two subcommittees, one, a planning and infrastructure committee that's headed up by Gail Brannon and David Justice, and then a program and event committee that is headed up by myself and Mr. Mark Ward.
I'll make a motion to approve the subcommittees.
Motion by Mr. Mark Ward.
I'll second that motion.
A second by Ms. Brannon. Roll call, please.
Mr. Markwart?
Yes.
Mrs. Brannon?
Yes.
Mr. Justice?
Yes.
And Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes. Motion carries 4-0. Okay, number 4 is farmer's market. We received some guidance that Parks Department would be taking over contract negotiations and oversight of the farmer's market for the 2025 year. So I guess I would just like to make sure we have some clarification on the responsibilities of the Parks Department, in relation to the farmer's market. And I think I gave you guys an email just asking some preliminary questions of, are we directly negotiating with the farmer's market? What was the other question I had? Directly negotiating, are we signing the contract as the Parks Department with the farmer's market? And number 3, would those funds then come to the Parks Department until we could get some type of non-reverting fund in place or create a I know we probably can't do it overnight, but at least directly for farmer's market, would any funds received from farmer's market come to Parks Department?
So at our last town council meeting, our agenda was very light because of the exiting of the assistant to the town manager. So this item was not put on the agenda.
Yeah.
What we see, and it's not official because we do have to vote on it, is that we would take this contract that is created by the attorney. We would approve it this year, but then, like you said, you need to create a non-reverting fund for those funds that are charged, give it to the park department, and then also you'd be responsible for the counts of the booths, collection of the money, you'd be put in that account. And then, what am I missing? There was one more question you asked.
Well, so I think you kind of answered the first one, that the contract negotiation for this year would just be handled by town council.
Would be us to approve it and then to direct you that, here's what you're going to do.
Okay.
And then by next year, we'll have a new town manager, and then that way, just give it to the parks.
Okay.
I mean, that's the future, what we see it, but we didn't get to vote on it because it was not on the agenda.
That's fine.
So if you
No,
could
that's
let us
fine.
have till next Tuesday,
Yeah.
okay?
That's perfectly fine. I just wanted to know where we stand, and I know,
Kelly's here, do you want to come up and ask any questions, or?
I think I'm good, just listening to what you guys are saying.
Yeah.
okay, I just want to get that clarification for us and for
No,
Kelly and for you guys. That's good enough for me, so we at least know where everyone's roles are for this year. And I'm sure you'll give us the direction of what we need to do for this year.
Yeah, it's very explanatory, the contract.
Okay.
So will this year's funds still go,
I would make a motion when we do it, that the funds would go to the Parks Fund.
and then Jennifer would have to create the non-reverting?
Correct, we would have to request a non-reverting fund to be created.
Okay.
So maybe, since it'll be a bigger amount going into it, before we talked about the gazebo rental, monastery clubhouse
Yeah.
rental, and those are somewhat minimal
Mhm.
amounts, but now that it'll be more, this is probably a good.
Probably
time to do
warrants
that.
a non-reverting
Yeah,
fund,
we
yeah. Okay, all right, yeah, so if you guys handle that, that's good enough for me, that's all I, unless the board has any other questions for, our council liaisons on that item.
No.
Mindy, do you have any other
I have a
clarification?
question, just was looking for clarification
Yeah.
and direction moving
Good
forward.
Okay, perfect. So I think we could just, maybe we'll defer this to the next meeting and
It'll
we'll.
be on your next agenda.
Yeah, and then we'll get the final, conclusion of that at the next meeting. So I would solicit a motion for this item to the March meeting.
I motion that we defer the farmer's market issue to the next meeting in March.
I'll second, okay.
Who wants it? Okay. Motion by Mr. Jostes, second by Mr. Marquardt. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Markfort,
Yes.
Mrs. Brandon?
Yes.
Mr. Justice?
Yes.
And Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, motion carries 4-0. All right, so that was all new business, unless anyone wants me to make a motion to open up any other new business. So we'll move to reports, superintendent's report.
The board and liaisons had received the superintendent report for the month of January. A lot of the items that are on our agenda already have been discussed pretty much in more depth from that report. I just want to state that we are moving forward with the Bartlett Wahlberg shelter to be a spring project. So we actually have 3 shelter projects happening in the spring and a 4th project of a build, which will be the gazebo. So I just wanted to note for public and those who are listening that the first project will be the Lions Den remodel, and once the Lions Den is remodeled, that will be with a new roof and wrapping of the columns and eaves. And then, once that is complete, we will move into Bartlett Wahlberg Park, where we'll be installing the 20 by 36 Gothic arch pavilion. Once that comes to completion, and they may kind of flip back and forth depending on how the weather's working and what they can get done, we'll go into construction of a 20 by 36 timber truss shelter over at Kiwanis Park. So we're going to have a lot of construction of shelters and things this year, which I've been orchestrating from, behind the scenes. And those were actually all funds that we had encumbered from last year to bring this build forward. This year we will be seeing some costs associated with accessible approaches to those shelters, hardscaping and landscaping, but the other facilities would be the insurance claim from the gazebo that came down on town grounds that Mary Joan is heading up with our Director of Operations with the new location that she had just
The
stated.
location will be at the northeast side. It's very difficult to have weddings out here due to the traffic, et cetera, so it'll be relocated to that section over there, so. And there'll be a buffer from the fence we've taken in consideration for mowing and everything. The electricity will come from the Summerfest box that's located on the north fence line, and it'll come down, so there'll be electricity because this one here did not have electricity. So there'll be a little lighting, and there'll also be access for electricity for music and stuff if they have a wedding.
Cool.
So some really nice amenities that will be brought into the park system this year, and I just want to get the public, happy about that, but don't mind our mess because there's going to be a little dirt and mud going around for a little while. And then speaking of dirt and mud, we're working on a community garden here. So in stakeholder meetings and during the survey, the public wanted to see a community garden opportunity. And last year we encumbered funds for a start of a community garden, but a 12 by 8 raised garden bed that's handicapped accessible. We have earmarked a parcel here on town grounds right behind our pool house for that to be installed. And I'm reaching out and rallying the troops, working with Purdue Extension, with a reach to the Master Gardeners, and a reach to the Fraternal Order of Eagles, who actually was one of the groups that had came to us asking for the community garden. So now we're looking for the opportunity to get volunteers, a garden coordinator, and we can get this vegetable garden in and hopefully expand upon it in the years future. This may be even something that the Park Foundation, and I know we have some members that are very green-thumbed, even some Park Board members that would like to help us launch it, and we'll be having a call-out meeting pretty soon for those who are interested of helping us establish the garden, and we'll be working with Purdue Extension for educational opportunities at that garden as well. So some programming for the youth and adults right at the garden, and it's kind of be a neat thing to happen here on town grounds for those who are visiting, and we're excited about it.
Did you say it was 8 by 12?
12 by 8. So it's how many square feet? 65 square feet of planting space is what we've already encumbered money for to buy. If it's the pleasure of the board to try to go bigger the first year, you know, I don't want to start too big and then not have enough volunteers to maintain these. But this is a cedar raised garden bed, you know, and there, you guys do have a photo as well in your, but so if anybody listening or sitting in the audience is interested in, you know, coming to talk with us, help us, you know, create this is for the community, it can't just be park incentive in Rand, but we'd love to get, you know, a community garden director together in a volunteer role to help us maintain it. Oh, and it's going to have a watering system, so the good thing is that that's not going to be the role for them to have to pull water every day. There'll be a automatic watering system involved as well.
Tim mentioned at the town council meeting eliminating that water.
So we did have a discussion, I did meet, where Mary Jo was asking about the water source. So just a little further detail on that. I had a planning meeting with Tim Kubiak on this, and he said, you know, the town water is coming on ground soon. We did earmark that space because it's well water, so we wouldn't be pulling from any water sources for the town. And he said that they'll still have to look into it. There may be a way that we just reserve that well and keep it open for the garden space, but he still has some infrastructure and things to look at, and before we would have to pull from the town's water source.
And you've got a new building up here with all kinds of landscaping. There's no underground irrigation system up there. Somehow those are gonna have to be tended to unless that's in the contract. I'm a landscaper, I don't think it is.
I'm not even sure who's responsible for maintaining the spaces of the new public safety building.
So I guess my point was, it would be probably a good thing to keep that well reserved for any watering needs on the ground.
On the raised beds too, how easily accessible is it for the handicap?
I know that the opening into the garden is the proper width for a wheelchair accessible.
To get there.
Yeah, and to turn around and to be able to garden within. So the exact height of the raised beds, I would have to look at the specs again, but I can get that info to you.
Okay, because I'd like to know, like my sister, she really can't walk that much.
Okay.
So can she walk there if she drives here?
So she could drive to the grounds, and we're going to be able to have to create a sidewalk or a path extension from the existing sidewalk into the garden. But our whole intent is to be able to have everybody have the chance to get in there, use it, and plant in there.
Is it on level ground?
It will be to get up to the pool house, which is already a handicapped accessible sidewalk.
Okay.
That's installed, and then there'll be an extension off of that to get into the garden. But the garden would probably be more like a crushed stone, possibly, surface, not throwing concrete within the raised garden beds. But that exact height of planting height of the bed itself, I will have to get back to you on. I'm not sure off the top of my head. But that's our whole intent, is for all to be able to use it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And that's all on my superintendent report.
Okay.
I have a question. Did you find out anything about the maintenance of the public safety building?
No, we're just still waiting on who's responsible for caring for that, the plowing, and the landscape of that space.
Personally, I don't see that as a park. And if you didn't plow and do landscaping at the other fire station, I mean...
I think they'll be maintaining them all.
We are currently plowing because we just haven't received any directives, so we're trying to keep that space open. So we have plowed at this time. But when the building opens, the crew has mentioned there is going to be some difficulty in clearing the snow because of the way the sidewalks and the approaches to the building are. Depending on how much snow, you're pretty much dumping snow off onto another sidewalk or ramp. And so they said that's going to be kind of troublesome at removal time, but we're actually not even taking care of that part. We're just plowing through the lot as an extension right now. But you're right, there's a ton of mulch up there, which is going to be a ton of weeding. So.
Okay. Greg with the rec coordinator report.
All right, thank you. So our new fitness instructor started in January. We have 11 total participants right now, so that's going well. We obviously had our senior gathering on the 13th. We just had our last one with the Friends of the Fire came, so thank you very much for Cheryl and Scott for coming to do that. Spring soccer, registrations open up next Monday, so we are gearing up for that. We just sent out our donation letters for Easter. Easter is on April 12th. We had to cancel the Nerf gun battles with the Boys and Girls Club. We only had 1 adult and 5 kids, so maybe that's just an outdoor thing moving forward. Red Cross, last year we ran a Red Cross one, we had 18 people. We are 2 away from fully getting filled up right now. And we scheduled 3 more with them, so 1 each quarter for the clubhouse. The permaculture, that also had to be canceled. We only had 6 people register, so that is my fault. I know we had some people show up there. I should have put a sign on the door. The 5 people who did register did get back to me, but they were not coming. But what happened was Rebecca was able to email me. We gave everyone the presentation that she was doing and some other materials as well that were emailed to the rest of the people. As you know, we do have the Rain Barrel going on. That fundraiser ends in February. And we're still working to try to hire an art instructor. We do have an interview coming up for the yoga instructor. That's next Friday, so hopefully that all goes well. Penguin Pop. We do have a team going on for the Penguin Pop. We will be participating in that. There are some of us that will be either running to the water or actually going into the water. It's up to everyone else.
I'll be jumping in, so if you want to see it.
Yeah, you and me both. I'm going in. I'm diving in. Last meeting we talked about bus trips. That is, if you look at my rec report all the way at the bottom, that is, so there were some destinations that were given to us through the seniors last January about bus trips. So these are a couple ones that I looked into. Ideal Charter is the one that seems to be the most that everyone uses around the park community. So this, and they seem to be the cheapest one. So these were some of the rates that I looked into. And that is all I got. If anyone has any questions?
I had a question about the Nerf battles.
Yes.
So you had 5 kids participate or signed up?
Signed up, yeah.
So how come you didn't have that?
We needed a minimum of 10.
Through the Boys and Girls Club?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we got with them and there was a minimum of 10 that they signed up, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sadly they canceled that.
It's good to know that because it shouldn't look like the parks is canceling programs.
Yes.
So going forward, maybe put that out there that, you know.
Yeah, personally, I would just like to run them, just because they're new. I don't want to like if it was something that was like we've been doing for 2 or 3 years down the road, then that would make sense. But it's something that's new that we're trying to just work on. Like we don't know, like there's just 5 kids, but then maybe next time there'll be more, right? The Sea Lake Boys and Girls Club really just wanted participation, like they wanted people to come. So I just think going forward, there should just be a discussion whether we should cancel or not going forward, and then just go from there between like myself and Mindy, and because we have the Slimes coming up right now on February 19th, that we have a minimum of 10, but we have 5 people coming, right? So I think if we honor that minimum, but if at least we're close, I think we just run it. I don't think that we should be canceling stuff. Yeah. Now Rebecca, she canceled because she wanted 8 people, so she's the guest speaker. If she says 8, there's nothing we can do about it, right? If we only have 6 registered, because she goes, get in contact with a week before the thing. I did. She goes, well, sorry, we'll have to cancel. But for events that we're hosting, I think we just, as long as it's not under 3 or 4, we should just run it, just to see how it goes.
Right.
Because after the first time, who knows? Because I'll be intrigued to see during the summer months because I will be trying a Nerf battle again for the age group of 6 to 9. We had 17 kids last time. I would be intrigued to see how much more we get because that was really well attended. and we'll just see where it goes from there. Because a first-time thing sometimes doesn't do well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the last one, and the reason for this one was
Yes.
because it went well.
It was, yes.
Was that an outdoor
It
event?
was an outdoor,
Okay.
so there were a couple people who came to me like, hey, we should do an adult, while they were watching it, and then there were a couple people who were like, hey, try another one. So I was like, well, maybe we get the Boys and Girls Club, they have the gym, we'll try it, right? Their big thing was participation. I do think the fee might have been too high as well, but just try it, see what happens, right? So I think this summer we'll be trying another one for the age groups of 6 to 9 and the 10 to 13, because we did have 7 signed up. So I think we just try it, and then we just run it, see what happens.
And I think
I agree.
I'd like to kind of expand a little bit on minimums and maximums. There is a conversation that is had before we cancel anything, but in our programming, we've really incorporated minimum and maximums and the requirements to register, because there's a cost recovery to some things. And so if we're going to go buy supply for an event or a program to run, we need to have that registration deadline hit before the supply is purchased, or we're sitting on some items that are just never going to be used again. And the minimums and maximums are just, at the, trying to keep it at the very low rate that we possibly can to offer them to the public. And so we just encourage that if we are hosting a program and you're interested, if we do cancel it, you get your money back if we don't hit the minimum or the maximum or the minimum. But having those minimums are in place is because we ran a exercise class here for many, many years that redlined, and that was not conducive to the taxpayer dollar to redline a program for that many years that it was ran. So looking at what our cost recovery rate is, and it's part of the programming numbers that go into how do you run it, how many people can you offer it to, and at what cost. And so trying to stick close to those minimums and maximums. But Greg and I have had judgment calls like, oh, we're at 6, let's just go and make it happen. So, because it would be a first-time thing. So, but sometimes when we're contracted with people, they may say, I need 10 people to run that class. So that is how our minimums and maximums are placed when we're either in agreement, like we were with the Boys and Girls Club, or with, like when we're using outside educators or vendors to do so. So that's how minimums and maximums work.
And that's understandable. I think that maybe if you have the opportunity to put on there that, we must have this many, or, the presenter won't, be available, or the facilities won't be available unless we meet this, that might have nudged the kids to say, hey, come on, let's go play Nerf Wars.
Yeah, and we do that on our marketing. We have minimums and maximums listed. So even in our newsletter, for every program that's there, a minimum maximum will be there. And even on the RecDesk software, a minimum maximum is there. So as you're signing up, you can go, oh, there's 3 people, but we need, the maximum is 10 to come. So you will know right in that moment. It's advertised as minimums.
So when you sign up on RecDesk, you can see that there's only 3 or however X number of people signed up.
Right, not who is signed up, but
Yeah.
how many of those slots are already taken. And the
Yeah.
minimums and maximums are set and advertised
And then it'll
within
be
the
like,
program.
if we set like a max of like 20 people, it'll be like, hey, 3 spots are left.
Mhm.
So it
Yeah.
tells you on RecDesk, yeah.
So normally if it's canceled and say only 4 people signed up, do you guys call or email those people?
I call and email, yeah.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important to get on our like, the reservations, even if it's a reservation, like,
Yeah.
we're asking, you don't have to go through RecDesk, you can call our office, and as long as we know that you're on the list, we can make contact to you to let you know that we are. There's times that there might not be heat at our building or an ice storm come through. We want to be able to reach out to all involved and let them know that the program is canceled for whatever reason. So this is, what we're doing in order to, be good stewards to the programs that we're trying to host and those who are involved in them, so.
Do you have people that don't register, they just show up at the door?
Yes. That does happen.
I'd be one of those people.
Okay. Anything else for Greg? Thanks, Greg. Maintenance report, is there anything to highlight there?
Really, the maintenance report was actually a very thorough report, if you noticed this time. And just I mentioned that we had a transfer of duties with amongst departments, that the Parks Department has now taken over the raising and lowering of the flags at the Town Hall, at Potawatomi Park, and the Chamber of Commerce. And you will now see, the budget, you'll be seeing purchases of flags coming through very soon, as we are currently we're gonna be, replacing and maintaining those flags at those spaces. The Chamber of Commerce is also, they do provide a flag for their space, but they are going back to their board to have conversations to see if that's something that they want to continue to do, or if that will then become, the responsibility of our department to purchase for that space as well. But we do raise and lower in all those spaces. And this was a public works thing that was taken over when a Parks Department was no longer here. And it's just coming back around that the Parks Department will care for those in their spaces. So, and those are the ones that were identified. So that's us.
Okay. All right, any other discussion on maintenance report?
Not that I have.
Oh,
Oh, I don't have anything else.
okay. Anything else from town council? Nope, okay. No written communication, so now I'll open it up for public comment.
Can we offer more than just soccer for the kids? Maybe for women in the evening, like soccer?
Like adult soccer, you mean?
Like adult soccer or softball, anything, even?
So softball, we don't really own that land, that's a nonprofit. But adult soccer, I can absolutely look into it.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Anything else for?
For
women or
kids?
men? Women or men at night, something, once a week at least?
Well, so we're looking to bring in an art instructor. That is something we're looking to do. That'll be for
Sorry,
adults. Art instructor, yeah, so art classes, we're looking to do art classes again, to bring someone in for that. Are you looking for like sports-wise though?
Yes.
Um,
Physical activities, especially for the kids, just soccer.
Yeah, well, so soccer for sports, yeah, that's, we do Nerf battles, but that's for the summertime. Kids,
Art classes?
yeah, art classes, but like outside, at the moment, it's just soccer, yeah.
Okay, and then how about more than one bingo for adults or the seniors?
For the seniors, for more than one bingo, that would have to be something that me and, myself and Minnie would have to talk about.
Okay.
Like once a month, you mean? Like more than once a month bingo? Yeah, that'd be something that myself and Minnie would have to speak on.
Okay, and then, I don't know if you're in charge of whatever, but I saw a girls softball. I don't know who's in charge of it, and there was just one sign on 133rd Parish, and
Yeah.
nothing on this side of the lake.
Yeah,
That's a separate nonprofit.
Yeah,
that runs
that's the other nonprofit, yeah.
Softball and baseball is two separate nonprofits
Okay.
that run those and own fields too.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
they do own soccer fields, and so there might be an opportunity to try to bring an adult league on.
We can try, yeah.
Maybe a wiffle ball,
Yeah, right out here, yeah,
We
yeah,
did,
yeah.
we offered that last year, an opportunity to play
Mhm.
wiffle ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that.
Or
I can look
kickball.
into it. Thank you.
Thank you.
For seniors, kickball for seniors?
Yeah. Very, very small field.
We have the ambulance that's standing.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right, right.
Any other public comment? Oh,
I just want to give you an update on the bench. I have two benches that the family chose. I'm gonna send it to Mindy, and you guys can pick the color, you know, whatever. It's made out of recycling plastic, so it's heavy, so it doesn't melt
Mhm.
off. And then I'll have that, to Mindy, so that you guys can select. And the question is, do you want to order it, and we pay you for the order, or do you want us to order and pay for it? We'll just have to discuss that.
Yeah, whatever the
Because
logistics,
if you pay
whatever
for it,
you
we
do.
don't pay taxes. We pay taxes, so.
So
it's up to
traditionally,
you.
when we're taking a donation of that sort, what I've always liked to do within the park systems is we take the donation, so we figure out the price of it, we take the donation in, and then we execute that purchase as a department, because then it falls under our
Well,
insurance.
that's what the other thing, thank you.
So I would like to do it that way, plus there's a little cost savings, because we are, tax exempt in that, and then it can be inventoried properly into the park system. So, glad to work with you on that and, see what we've got picked out for the memorial bench at Fire Manor.
Okay.
And our park subcommittee will work on choosing the color. It comes back.
It's not just color.
I told you, it's gonna be color.
It's not just color.
Okay, any other public comment? Public comment going 3 times. Public comment's now closed. next meeting is March 6th at 5:30 PM, and the meeting is now adjourned.